Welcome to Miller Waste Systems.
Thank you for participating in our Only the Best New Worker Orientation training program. We welcome you to our organization and hope you enjoy this training presentation. This training video will provide the steps needed to make you a safe and successful worker at Miller Waste Systems. Follow along with the video and take the provided information with you as you learn about the company. Our Only the Best training consists of 5 different sections. Section 1 is Basic Health and Safety Awareness, where you will learn about your rights and responsibilities relating to health and safety in the workplace, as well as the responsibilities of other workplace parties. Section 2 will cover the Workplace Hazardous Materials Information System, most commonly known as WHMIS. WHMIS is an important part of workplace safety as it provides workers with information relating to hazardous chemicals they may be working with. The next section, we will discuss emergency response and provide you with information relating to what you can do in the case of various types of emergencies in the workplace. Section 4 discusses accessibility for persons with disabilities. In Ontario, this is called AODA, or the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act. While there are provinces that do not have laws like this, it is still important information we want all Miller Waste System employees to know. Lastly, we will discuss customer service expectations and why it is so important for you and the company to be only the best. Part 1. Health and Safety Awareness in 4 steps. In Canada, each province has provincial ministries that manage workplace health and safety. The provinces all have their own occupational health and safety laws. These are the guidelines used to ensure workplace safety across all industries. Generally referred to as the Occupational Health and Safety Act, the OHSA, or simply the Act. The legislation contained are the guidelines that make up the legal framework of workplace safety. Across all provinces, the common thing all Occupational Health and Safety Acts share is defining the rights and responsibilities of all workplace parties. Do you know what your rights and your responsibilities are? That's what we are here for. This training program is based on the Health and Safety Awareness in 4 Steps training module created by Ontario's Ministry of Labour. The training covers your rights, your responsibilities, and gives you an understanding of how you can make a difference in our health and safety management system. As you go through this training video, each section or step will have a training quiz that you'll be prompted to complete. In order to do this, you can simply scan the QR code on the screen to open up the quiz on your phone or tablet. You can also open up the quiz by clicking the link in the video description or the link that you were provided in your welcome email. If you need to, pause the video now to ensure you have the quiz open and accessible. When you are ready, come on back, hit the play button, and we will continue with the training. Step 1. Let's get on board. After this module, you will be able to describe why you are an important part of workplace health and safety. You'll be able to describe the duties of your employer, the duties of your supervisor, and you'll be able to describe the duties and 3 basic rights of all workers.
Health and safety at work. Prevention starts here, but it doesn't end here.
A new job is a chance for a fresh start. I'm learning new skills, meeting new people.
One of the first things I learned when I started working here is that every job has hazards, no matter how safe it looks. I found out that the way I can stay safe is by knowing about anything in this workplace that could hurt me or make me sick. Each one of us here, employers, supervisors, and workers, has a role to play in safety at work. If we all cooperate and do what's expected of us, we can get home safely at the end of the day.
When I started working, I had no idea how often people got hurt or had a work-related sickness on the job. I didn't know that the number of people in Ontario who suffer a work-related illness or injury each year would fill the seats of a dozen big hockey arenas.
I didn't know that people who are starting new jobs are 3 times more likely to get hurt during their first month on the job than at any other time. That's because new and young workers often aren't told about or don't understand the hazards of the job. Sometimes they don't know what questions to ask. Sometimes they don't even know who to ask.
Prevention starts here, but it doesn't end here.
The Health and Safety at Work, Prevention Starts Here poster is displayed in all Ontario workplaces. The poster describes the rights and responsibilities of all workers according to the Provincial Occupational Health and Safety Act. Other provinces may not have a poster like this, but the information is the same. The Occupational Health and Safety Act for each province contains guidelines relating to the duties of all workplace parties. Additionally, some workplaces may have their own set of laws or regulations pertaining to the specific type of work being completed. A copy of the Occupational Health and Safety Act will be posted on our safety boards. If you are looking for information relating to your health and safety, this is a great place to start. This training program will go into more detail about the Occupational Health and Safety Act and related regulations, along with more specific information for you to know before you start working. All that being said, always know that if you ever have questions relating to workplace safety, you should always first ask your supervisor. They will be able to help and guide you to ensure you stay safe while you work. Duties of the employer. Here are some things an employer has to do to be compliant with the Occupational Health and Safety Act. Ensure workers know about workplace hazards and how to work safely. Ensure every supervisor knows how to manage workplace health and safety. Create health and safety policies and procedures for the work being performed. Ensure all workplace parties follow those policies and procedures. Ensure the proper personal protective equipment is available. And finally, do everything reasonable to keep workers from getting hurt or sick while they are working. Duties of the supervisor. Here are the things all supervisors must do to be compliant with the Occupational Health and Safety Act. Tell workers about workplace hazards and show them how to work safely. Ensure their workers follow the company's health and safety policies and procedures, as well as any laws related to their work performance. Ensure their workers wear and use the proper personal protective equipment when required. And finally, just like the employer, supervisors must do everything reasonable to keep workers from getting hurt or sick while they are working. Duties of workers. Here are some things the Occupational Health and Safety Act says every worker has to do as part of their job. Follow the law as well as the company's health and safety policies and procedures. Wear and use the proper personal protective equipment when required. Work and act in a way that will not hurt themselves or any other person. And finally, report any hazard in the workplace to their supervisor, especially if they do not know how to protect themselves from the hazard. Here's a question for you to consider. Suppose you were asked to do something at work that you didn't know much about. True or false? It is your employer's and supervisor's duty to take every precaution reasonable to protect you while you are working. This is true. Before you do something, shouldn't you be trained on how to do it? That sure sounds reasonable. Rights of the worker. We've talked about the responsibilities of employers, supervisors, and workers. These responsibilities relate directly to every person's rights when it comes to workplace safety. Your employer and supervisor are responsible to ensure the workplace is safe. It is your right to know about any hazards in the workplace that affect your safety, and to know how to protect yourself from those hazards. If there is a hazard in the workplace that you don't know how to protect yourself from, or if you are asked to do something that you haven't been trained to do, then you have the right to speak up and ask your supervisor for help to understand how to protect yourself and work safely. Ultimately, if there is something happening in the workplace and you are not sure how to proceed, you can simply stop what you are doing and wait until you have a better understanding of what is happening. These are your 3 basic rights, and we're going to be going through these rights in more detail to ensure you understand how to exercise those rights in the proper way. By the way, never worry about asking questions about workplace safety or worry about exercising your 3 basic rights. No person at Miller Waste will ever chastise you for raising health and safety concerns. In fact, it is against the law for a worker to be fired or punished for asking or talking about health and safety as long as it is done the correct way, and this training is going to teach you how to do this. You have the right to refuse unsafe work if you believe it puts you or any other person in danger. There is a proper way to do this, and that is what we are going to teach you. Prevention starts here, but it doesn't end here. Time for your first quiz. We will be going through the questions together, so just follow along with the video presentation. If you haven't already done so, pause the video and scan the QR code or click the provided link to open the quiz. If you already have the quiz open, get ready for the first question. Question 1. True or false? The thousands of people who suffer work-related illness or injury each year might include your neighbors, family, or loved ones.
True is correct.
Question 2. New workers are less likely to get hurt on the job than people who have been on the job longer. This is false. New workers are 3 times more likely to be injured in their first 3 months of employment than persons that have been on the job longer. Question 3. The Occupational Health and Safety Act and regulations tell everyone from the employer to the newest worker how to make the workplace safer. This is true. The provincial act and regulations form the basis for health and safety in all workplaces. The Occupational Health and Safety Act puts the greatest responsibility on the employer to make sure no one gets hurt or sick on the job. This is also true. Question 5. It's against the law for my employer to fire or punish me for doing what the Occupational Health and Safety Act says. True again. The law is very clear. No person can be fired or punished for following the act, or for raising questions or concerns about workplace health and safety. Congratulations! Quiz number 1 is done. Part 2. Get in the know. In this section, we will explain your right to know about workplace hazards. We will identify and explain some common workplace hazards. We will explain how Miller Waste Systems identifies hazards in our workplaces and tell you how to protect yourself from those hazards. And we will also explain how you, or any worker, can ask and find out more information about workplace hazards.
Health and safety at work. Prevention starts here. But it doesn't end here.
My name is Kevin Bonas. July 2003, I was involved in an industrial accident. I was working as a industrial millwright, working on a piece of equipment with the operator. I found myself in a position where the machine cycled while I was in it. It amputated both my feet from my body. I was trapped in the machine for an hour and a half while rescuers got me out of the machine. 2 teams of surgeons spent 8 hours reattaching my feet. After the surgery, I was told that the success rate for the surgery was less than 5%, and that I would most likely not be keeping my feet. I can't squat, I can't run. My son plays hockey. I can't get on the ice with him. I'm unable to do that. And I deal with chronic pain every day. Hopefully, by taking this training, you'll be able to implement the lessons you learn through this training and not be in the position that I'm in.
Hi, my name is Dan Maximier. I'm a health and safety consultant with the Infrastructure Health and Safety Association. I've been with this organization now for almost 5 years. 6 years ago, though, however, I was a small business owner, general contractor, home builder, and I was involved in a serious accident within the construction industry. I ended up breaking my right leg between my knee and the ankle, 9 different places in both bones. My left ankle, actually, I shattered completely. Had my toe of my left work boot touching my knee. I shattered that ankle and both my leg bones halfway up the leg. I lived in the hospital for couple months recovering, wheelchair after that for about 14 months. My business went bankrupt. stopped working. The biggest thing for myself, how it affected my lifestyle, is even though I'm able to walk now, I just can't do the same things. I was big into sports before. I'm very limited now, and all just for the sake of I was rushing on the job, quick as I could to get things done, cutting corners, taking chances, and I just tell everybody when I'm training it's not worth it, because one of these days you may think it's not going to happen, but it could just happen so quick.
Hi, my name's Patty Penny. I'm here to tell you about my son, Luke Patrick Penny. He was waterproofing a garage wall when the wall collapsed on top of him, crushing him. It was the worst day of my entire life and the worst day of my family's entire life. Our lives will never be the same again. I don't even know how to put it into words. It was like shock, devastation, any emotion that you could have was there. Part of me died that night with my son. I have never been the same, and I don't believe I ever will be. My family will never be the same. And hopefully somewhere in this video, people will realize, and it will help them be safe at work.
Prevention starts here, but it doesn't end here.
As a new worker, you need to know about the hazards of the work you are doing. We have all heard stories about people getting critically injured or even killed while they are working. These incidents can be devastating. They affect worker morale, the personal lives of the workers, along with their own friends and family members. And they can cost companies hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars in fines and insurance costs. Sometimes, there is no way to recover. There is a hazard at the root of every work-related injury, illness, or death. The hazard either went unchecked or was ignored. This is why it is so important that you are aware of the hazards of the job and know how to protect yourself from the hazards before you begin working.
Health and safety at work. Prevention starts here, but it doesn't end here.
Here are some of the most common hazards in Ontario workplaces.
Repeating the same movements over and over. It's even more risky if you're in an awkward position or you use a lot of force. Think of someone who bends over all day, or someone who lifts heavy things over and over again, especially if it's above the shoulders or below the knees.
Slipping, tripping, or falling. Think of something as simple as slipping on spilled coffee on the floor, tripping in a cluttered work area, or falling off a raised platform that has no guardrails.
Motorized vehicles. Think of being hit by a dump truck that is backing up on a construction site, or someone getting hit by a forklift truck in a warehouse or on a loading dock.
Using or working near machinery. Machinery can be very hazardous. Many workers have been killed or seriously injured by the equipment they operated.
Workplace violence. It can happen to people in many workplaces, such as a gas station attendant working alone at night, or a healthcare worker in a hospital or a home.
Then there are the less visible hazards. Things like chemicals, fumes, toxic dust, or germs and viruses in schools, labs, and healthcare workplaces. Some of these hazards can make you very sick. Sometimes they will make you sick right away. Other times you won't know you're sick until months or even years later. That's why you need to know how to protect yourself now.
Prevention starts here, but it doesn't end here.
One of the ways Miller Waste Systems informs workers of the hazards of the work we perform is by providing job hazard analysis sheets, also known as JHAs. JHAs explain to our workers the hazards of the job. They provide preventative measures that can be used to keep workers safe. And they also provide a risk assessment, which explains what could happen to a worker should they decide to break the rules. Here is a JHA for an equipment spotter, a person that is tasked to direct equipment inside of one of our facilities, or maybe a truck on a collection route. JHAs need to be read, understood, and signed by both the worker and their supervisor. These JHAs need to be provided to our workers before they begin working. The law is very clear about this. Workers need to be told about the hazards of the job and how to protect themselves before they begin the work. This is how Miller Waste Systems ensures that we follow the requirements of the Occupational Health and Safety Act. There are other questions that can be asked if you want to ensure you have the knowledge needed to protect yourself while you work. What are the hazards of the job? Is there any extra or specific training needed to do the job safely? Do I have all of the correct personal protective equipment for the job? Who can I go to and ask if I have any questions about safety? In all of these cases, go to your supervisor, a manager, or a member of the Health and Safety Department. They are all there to help. What are some other more common hazards that you need to be aware of? Loud noises or equipment. Low lighting. Sharp objects, tools, or equipment. Working at height, or objects falling from height. Electrical energy, or other energy sources that could harm you if not properly controlled. As a worker, you need to be aware of these types of hazards and understand how to protect yourself. Through training, JHAs, and safety talks, these are the ways we will ensure you have the information you require to be safe while you work. There are other hazards that are less obvious. If you use chemicals while you work, you need to be trained on the safe use of those chemicals. That would include knowing what type of personal protective equipment to wear, how to safely use and store the chemical, and how to dispose of the chemical when you are done with it. It's the employer's duty to ensure that all supervisors have the knowledge and information needed for a safe work environment. Employers and supervisors must tell workers about the hazards of the job being performed and show them how to protect themselves from those hazards. If a worker ever encounters a hazard on the job that they don't know how to protect themselves from, they need to stop work and talk to their supervisor, explain what is happening, and allow the supervisor to fix the situation. Here are some other questions that new workers may need to ask. If I get injured, who do I report my injury to? If there is an emergency, what should I do? If the equipment I'm using is broken or unsafe, who do I inform? Maybe you need to ask yourself, am I focusing on the job? Am I working safely? Was I trained on how to work safely? And lastly, if you need more training, when will you be getting it? These are all questions that can be directed to your supervisor. They are there to help you answer these types of questions or concerns you may have. There are many ways to protect workers from hazards. The best form of protection is elimination. If a hazard no longer exists, then the risk to the worker is also gone. This process is commonly known as hazard control. Controls are put in place to reduce the exposure to the hazard. The better the controls, the less risk to the worker. There are other ways to control hazards. Guarding is commonly used. Guarding is a physical barrier that prevents a worker from accessing a hazardous area. Cycling or sharing the work, meaning only have workers perform a task for a limited period of time. A good example of this is the trucks we operate that have more than one worker on them. For part of the workday, a worker will drive the truck, and the other part of the day they will collect the waste. This gives workers the opportunity to recover and reduces the chance of injury and fatigue. Personal protective equipment, or PPE. These are protective devices that are worn that can help to reduce injury or illness. Items like safety boots, safety glasses, gloves, hard hats, and reflective clothing are all common examples of personal protective equipment. But remember, PPE only works when it is worn correctly, and wearing the protective equipment will not eliminate a hazard. It only reduces the chance of the hazard leading to a serious injury. For this reason, personal protective equipment needs to be inspected regularly, and broken or defective protective equipment needs to be replaced. Miller Waste Systems has policies and rules regarding the use of PPE. If the company mandates personal protective equipment to be worn in certain circumstances, that means workers are required to wear the equipment when they are performing those tasks. We spoke about guarding earlier. Personal protective equipment acts as a guard, but there are many other physical guards that exist in our workplaces. The Occupational Health and Safety Act says that workers are not permitted to remove or disable any type of guard without providing another guard in its place. If you are asked to use a tool or a piece of equipment that is missing a guard, or the guarding is loose, broken, or ineffective, that equipment cannot be used. Stop working, notify your supervisor, and help to arrange for the equipment to be fixed. We also spoke about use of chemicals in the workplace earlier. The Workplace Hazardous Materials Information System says that workers must receive information and instruction on how to safely use, store, and dispose of workplace chemicals and other hazardous materials. Stay tuned. WHMIS training will also be provided to you. This training will teach you how to recognize these products in the workplace and how you can find the information needed to safely work with these products. If your job includes driving and operating equipment, then you need to be trained on how to use that equipment in a safe manner. Whether you work on one of our collection vehicles, or you operate a forklift, front-end loader, or an aerial work platform, you need to be trained on how to operate that equipment safely. MWSI Systems has in-house training programs that are used to provide our workers with this information. Our safety trainers put a lot of time and energy into ensuring our new workers are set up for success. Your safety training started the moment to begin this module, and it will continue as you learn more about the job. Participating in health and safety training is a great way to learn about hazards and how to protect yourself while you work. In a safe workplace, everyone participates to ensure we are all protected from hazards. If you see a hazard on the job or have a close call, report it to your supervisor immediately. Prevention starts here. When everyone knows about workplace hazards and works together to ensure we all go home at the end of the day. Time for part 2 of the quiz. The Occupational Health and Safety Act says that you have the right to know about hazards in the workplace. This is true. The Act says it is the duty of your employer and your supervisor to tell you about hazards in the workplace. If a hazard can make you sick, you will always start to feel sick right away. This is false. You may have an immediate reaction to some hazards, while with others you may not have a reaction for months or even years. To keep from getting hurt on the job, you need to find out about the hazards while you are working. False is correct. Before they start working, the Occupational Health and Safety Act says that workers need to be told about the hazards of the work they are doing. Next question. If you have any doubts about the safety of the work you are doing, you should keep those doubts to yourself. Of course, this is false. Always remember, if you have safety-related questions or concerns, you can always reach out to your supervisor, a manager, or a member of the Health and Safety Department. If you see a hazard while at work, you should report it to your supervisor or employer right away. True is correct. The Occupational Health and Safety Act says that workers are required to report any workplace hazards or contraventions of the Act to their supervisor. Congratulations! Quiz number 2 is through. Step 3. Let's all get involved. In this section, we will explain your right to participate in workplace health and safety. We will provide you examples of how you can participate in workplace health and safety. And we will describe the roles of both health and safety committees and health and safety representatives in the workplace. We spent some time in the last module talking about the right of all workers to know about the hazards of the workplace. Another right of workers is the right to participate in health and safety. Consider participation as your ability to be involved in keeping the workplace safe and healthy for you and your coworkers. Oftentimes, this starts with communication, meaning you have the right to report hazards to your supervisor and also to provide solutions to questions raised relating to workplace safety. Additionally, participation can include performing workplace inspections, attending safety meetings and training sessions, as well as becoming a health and safety representative or a member of a health and safety committee. These are all ways that workers can exercise their right to participate in workplace health and safety. Health and safety representatives and health and safety committees. The majority of Miller Waste Systems locations have health and safety committees that are made up of representatives of workers and management. Depending on the province, these committees can go by different names. In Ontario and New Brunswick, they are known as Joint Health and Safety Committees. Nova Scotia calls them Joint Occupational Health and Safety Committees, and Manitoba calls them Workplace Safety and Health Committees. While the names are different, the purpose is the same. Our workplace health and safety committees are collaborative teams of workers and managers that discuss workplace safety and come up with solutions to safety-related concerns. Regular meetings are scheduled to ensure committees are staying on top of safety concerns. In addition to meetings, a worker member is also tasked to perform workplace inspections, usually on a monthly basis. The workplace inspections are not only posted on our safety boards for all workers to review, but they are also reviewed by the committee members during our meetings to ensure any ongoing issues are followed up on. Committee meeting minutes are also posted on our safety boards. These inspections, along with the meetings, ensure that everyone has a say in identifying and solving problems. In some smaller locations, we may just have a health and safety representative that represents the workers. Their function is the same as a committee, though. The representative will perform safety inspections of the workplace, communicate to management the results of these inspections, and any other health and safety concerns they are aware of, along with providing recommendations on how to solve these concerns. Here are 4 things you can do to participate in workplace health and safety. Communication is so important. Ask questions when you aren't sure about something. Volunteer to be a member of a safety committee. Assist your safety committee with workplace inspections by bringing forward any concerns you may be aware of. Take what you learn in your training sessions and put what you learn into practice while you work. Avoid taking safety shortcuts. And lastly, but probably the most important thing you can do, is be a safety role model. Consider this. A new worker arrives for their first day of work and sees about half of the people they are working with are wearing safety glasses, and half of them are not. What are the chances this new worker is going to wear the safety glasses they are provided? Maybe a 50-50 chance? But let's say the same worker sees that everyone is wearing their safety glasses. I think in this situation, there is a 100% chance that this new worker will be putting on their safety glasses before they begin working. That's what workplace role models do. How you work, think, and talk about the job can have a massive influence on your coworkers. Prevention starts here. This is what a health and safety board looks like. We have one at all Miller Waste locations. These safety boards display important information for all personnel to help them stay safe while they work. Much of the information is legislatively required. Our posting boards will have a copy of the Provincial Health and Safety Act, including the rights and duties of workplace parties. A copy of the company's health and safety policy statement will be posted. The names of the local health and safety representatives, the latest committee meeting minutes, as well as other persons or organizations you can contact if you have health and safety concerns. There will be information on what you should do in case of injury or other emergencies, as well as the names of any first aiders that work on site who can help you if you have been injured. We also post many of our workplace rules, policies, and procedures, including what to do in case of violence or harassment in the workplace. These posting boards are great tools for you to use if you have questions about health and safety. But as we've mentioned so many times already, if you are looking for information on the safety board and you cannot find it, ask your supervisor for help. Back to the quiz. It's time for part 3. It's important that you know the safe way to do your job, and you should share what you know. If you see a hazard, you must report it to your supervisor.
True is correct.
You should get involved in health and safety by asking questions, and you should put what you learn from training into practice on the job. This is also true. Next question. If you can't find any health and safety information posted in your workplace, you should just go back to work and not worry about it. Of course, this is false. Anytime you have health and safety questions, there is a good chance you can find the answers on our safety boards. That said, if you can't find what you're looking for, you can always ask your supervisor for help. Your health and safety representative or joint health and safety committee can help you with any concerns that you might have about working safely. This is true. Part of a health and safety representative's duties is to help their coworkers with any issues that may arise relating to safety in the workplace. It's okay to take safety shortcuts to get the work done faster. Of course, this is false. It is never okay to take safety shortcuts while you work. Take your training seriously, apply what you have learned when you are working, and always put your personal safety first. Congratulations! You're now free of quiz number 3. On to step 4. This is the last module of our health and safety awareness training. How to get more help when you need it. We've now learned about your right to know the hazards of the job and your right to participate in workplace health and safety. In this module, you'll learn about your third right, the right to refuse unsafe or dangerous work. We will recognize that your employer cannot threaten or fire you for exercising any of your rights. And we will explain how you can find out more information about workplace health and safety. The right to refuse unsafe work. If you have a reason to believe the work you are doing or the equipment you are using is unsafe, then you have the right to refuse to do that work. You need to immediately stop what you are doing and notify your supervisor and your health and safety representative, explaining to them what the danger is and why it is unsafe for you to continue to work. All workers have this right, and in most cases your supervisor and your health and safety representative can work with you to come up with a solution to the issue quickly and easily. Some workers like doctors, nurses, firefighters, and police officers have limits on the type of work they can refuse.
But not you.
If the job doesn't feel safe, stop working and talk to someone. Ask questions, communicate with others, and, most importantly, take your safety and everyone else's seriously. Here is the correct way to refuse unsafe work. Contact your supervisor and a health and safety representative. You can also ask your supervisor to reach out to a member of the safety department on your behalf. Explain what is happening. Most times, you will be able to solve the problem. However, if the problem cannot be fixed and you still have reason to believe that the work is unsafe, you can continue your refusal. At this time, a provincial ministry inspector can be brought in to investigate. This is the phone number for the Ministry of Labour in Ontario. Other provincial ministry phone numbers will be posted on our health and safety boards. The inspector will ask some questions. Have you spoken with your supervisor? Have you spoken with your health and safety representative? This is why it is important to follow the steps of the work refusal process correctly. Ultimately, if the process has been followed and we are not able to come up with a suitable solution for the work refusal, then the ministry inspector will come to the workplace, investigate what is going on, and provide a binding decision. Remember that earlier in this training presentation we talked about reprisals and how your employer cannot fire or punish you if you raise health and safety concerns or do what the Occupational Health and Safety Act expects you to do. This is especially true during a work refusal. The Occupational Health and Safety Act is very clear on this. In fact, the province of Manitoba has added a fourth right for their workers. Manitoba's fourth worker right is the right to protection from reprisal for exercising any other right. But just remember, there are steps that are to be followed, and if you follow the steps correctly, there will be no problem. If you have concerns that you are being punished for raising health and safety concerns, you have many options. Just like before, speak with a health and safety representative or an employee representative. Part of their job is to help you with these concerns. You can also contact the Health and Safety Department or a representative from the People and Culture Department. If they cannot help, then each province has a labor relations board. You can also reach out to the Labor Ministry as well. You are not alone when it comes to workplace health and safety. I know what you are thinking. There is way too much to remember. Don't worry, you can find the information on our health and safety boards. And if you can't find the information there, take a guess at who you're going to talk to. That's right, a supervisor, your health and safety representative, or a member of the Miller Waste Safety Department. This QR code can be found on our health and safety board, in the back of our training booklets, on all of our safety talks, on our video display screens, and among many other areas in the workplace. Scanning this code will submit a form directly to a member of the safety department. You can ask any questions you may have, and you can keep yourself anonymous if you choose. You can also send an email to safetytraining@millerwaste.ca. More information on workplace health and safety can be found on any Provincial Ministry of Labor website. Provinces offer online safety training hubs for workplaces to use. At Miller Waste Systems, we are pleased to be able to train our workers in-house, offering high-quality training programs specific to the work you will be performing. We even have our own in-house first aid trainers. There are also provincial resources available to help workers that have been injured on the job. Ontario has 4 different health and safety associations that provide sector-specific consulting, training, products, and services. And every province has a worker compensation board, a government agency that provides insurance to workers should they be injured or suffer a work-related illness on the job. In Ontario, this is called the WSIB, or the Workplace Safety and Insurance Board. Other provinces refer to this as the Workers' Compensation Board, or the WCB. Human trafficking is a serious problem in Canada, and as an employer of many new and young workers, we are very concerned of the health and welfare of newcomers to Canada, as well as other underprivileged and underserved communities. If you know or have concerns about someone you think may be involved in human trafficking, please call the toll-free number on the screen to report your concerns. 1-833-900-1010. Safe Work, Manitoba. The Nova Scotia Ministry of Labour, Skills and Immigration, and WorkSafe New Brunswick all work with their provincial partners to ensure that their workplaces are safe for their workers. While this training program was focused on the ministry in Ontario, the good news is that all provincial health and safety acts cover much of the same information and requirements. So what does this all mean to you? At Miller Waste, prevention starts here. From your very first day, no matter the job you do, the location you work out of, or who your supervisor or manager is, safety must always be your #1 priority. Think safe and work safe every day. Time for part 4 of the quiz. If you report a hazard to your employer, supervisor, and/or your health and safety representative and they can't find a way to fix it, you can call the Provincial Ministry of Labour's toll-free number for help. This is true. Your 3 rights exist so that you can be comfortable in knowing that the work you do is safe. If you have concerns about your safety, and there doesn't seem to be anything we can do to help you with those concerns, then the Labour Ministry is there to assist. Next question. If you have a reason to believe the equipment you are using might hurt you or someone you work with, you have the legal right to refuse the work. Again, this is true. Keep in mind, there are specific steps to follow if you are refusing work because you believe it is dangerous. Your first step is to notify your supervisor, clearly explain what your concerns are, and allow them the opportunity to address your concerns. Some workers, such as nurses, firefighters, and police officers, have a limited right to refuse work. This is true. Because of the nature of the work they do, there may be situations where their lives are put at risk. This is not the same for you and your coworkers. No job is so important that you should put your health and safety in jeopardy. It's against the law for your employer or your supervisor to fire or punish you for doing what the Occupational Health and Safety Act expects you to do, or for asking them to do what the Act expects them to do. That's true. Each province have agencies that are there to help workers if they feel there are reprisals being taken against them for raising health and safety concerns. Congratulations! Open the door and hit the floor. We are done with quiz number 4. Wait 1 minute. You're not done yet. In fact, you're just getting started. Now that you have completed this general safety awareness training program, you are ready to start learning about your specific job. You first need to be told about the hazards of the job. You need to know the reporting procedures related to health and safety concerns, incidents, or injuries. The personal protective equipment you will need to wear or use. Where our company's health and safety policy is posted, and the location of the safety board. Where is the first aid station located, and who is trained in first aid? You'll be told about the company's emergency response plan and trained on what to do in case of emergency. You'll be provided WHMIS training and learn how to safely work with hazardous materials. We will discuss violence and harassment in the workplace and what to do in case this occurs. You'll find out where the Occupational Health and Safety Act is posted. And you'll learn who your health and safety rep is, as well as the names of every person on the safety committee. We hope this program has been useful and the information provided will help you perform your day-to-day work. Knowing the rights and duties not only of yourself, but your supervisor and employer is an important first step to staying safe on the job. And always remember, there are no silly questions when it comes to your own health and safety. Once you start working, you may think of more questions about what you are doing. Your supervisor, your safety rep, or any member of the MWSI Safety Department can help to answer any questions you may have. You can also reach out directly to a member of the Safety Department by scanning this QR code. Or send us an email, safetytraining@millerwaste.ca. Thank you for your attention, and welcome to Miller Waste Systems. Now is a great time to take a break. Pause the video, and when you are ready, come on back and hit the play button. We will then continue the training presentation. In this section of our Only the Best training, we're going to talk about the Workplace Hazardous Materials Information System, more commonly known as WHMIS. You're going to learn what the Workplace Hazardous Materials Information System is and why it is such an important part of workplace health and safety. You'll learn about the groups, classes, and categories of hazardous products. We'll discuss pictograms and explain how these pictures can tell you about the hazardous properties of a product. We'll describe the different labels used on all WHMIS-controlled products. And we'll talk about safety data sheets, your one-stop shop to find out everything you need to know about the hazards of a product and how to use it safely. At the end of the presentation, you will be asked to complete a quiz where we can celebrate what we have learned. To access the quiz, please scan the QR code on the screen. Section 1. What is the Workplace Hazardous Materials Information System?
The Workplace Hazardous Materials Information System, commonly referred to as WHMIS, first came into effect on October 31, 1988. It was created to address the rights of Canadian workers to know about health and safety hazards associated with hazardous products they use or may come in contact with in the workplace. In February 2015, Canada aligned WHMIS with the Globally Harmonized System of Classification and Labeling of Chemicals, GHS. GHS was developed as an international initiative to bring global standardization to chemical hazard classification and communication. You've probably heard the term WHMIS 2015 at some point. This update to WHMIS was the reason that the term was used for several years after 2015. In December 2022, WHMIS was once again updated to align with newer revisions of the GHS. For most workplaces, the most notable impact of the change from WHMIS 2015 to the amended WHMIS is the adoption of a new physical hazard class, chemicals under pressure. the adoption of a non-flammable aerosols hazard category, and the new subcategories for flammable gases. What is WHMIS? Understanding and recognizing hazardous materials is vital for anyone working in an environment with these substances. That's where WHMIS comes in. The Workplace Hazardous Materials Information System, or WHMIS, is a comprehensive system for providing information about hazardous materials used in the workplace. WHMIS is critical for several reasons. First, it's about your safety and the safety of your colleagues. It equips you with the knowledge to handle hazardous products safely, reducing the risk of incidents and injuries. It also informs you about the potential health effects of these products, such as whether a substance might cause skin irritation, breathing problems, or more severe health issues. Second, WHMIS promotes a more effective response to workplace emergencies involving hazardous products. When everyone is familiar with WHMIS, workers can respond swiftly and accurately to incidents, limiting harm and potential damage. Third, knowing about WHMIS is not just a good idea, it's the law. In Canada, workplaces are legally required to provide WHMIS training to all employees who are exposed or likely to be exposed to a hazardous product at work. WHMIS is more than just a set of symbols on a container. It's a vital part of maintaining a safe and healthy workplace, protecting workers from potential hazards, and responding effectively when things go wrong. So whether you're a new employee or someone with years of experience, understanding and following WHMIS guidelines should always be a priority. Exemptions. While WHMIS covers a wide range of hazardous products, it's important to note that some products are excluded from its scope. For example, consumer products used for personal, family, or household purposes are excluded. These products, typically sold at retail locations, are regulated separately under the Canada Consumer Product Safety Act. Additional exclusions include explosives, cosmetics, devices, drugs and food, pest control products, wood and wood products, nuclear substances, hazardous waste, tobacco and tobacco products, and manufactured articles. Just because a product is excluded from WHMIS does not mean it's safe. It simply means that it's regulated under a different set of rules. Employers are still responsible for educating and training employees about their potential health effects, safe handling practices, and appropriate storage methods if used or present in the workplace. Remember, you should always handle products, whether covered by WHMIS or not, with caution and respect for their potential hazards.
In Canada, all workplaces use a National Hazard Communication Standard to provide information to workers about hazardous products that could be used in the workplace. This standard is called WHMIS. WHMIS was first created in 1988 and provides guidelines to help ensure that workers know about the hazards of chemicals which they could come in contact with while they work. In 2015, WHMIS went through a major change when it aligned with the Globally Harmonized System, or GHS. This change made Canada's WHMIS program look very similar to other programs around the world. In 2022, more minor changes were made, including the additions of a new hazard class and a new hazard category specific to non-flammable aerosols. These changes and updates have not altered the purpose of WHMIS. All workers have the right to know about hazards in the workplace, and WHMIS provides a standardized system for workers to find out information about chemicals and, most importantly, find the information needed to use these chemicals safely. The fact is, you probably work and use hazardous products all the time and don't give it too much thought. Gasoline, engine oil, cleaning products, and even hand sanitizer can be harmful if not used correctly. But if you know how to recognize the hazards of these products and understand how to find the information to properly control the hazard, you'll then be able to protect yourself while you use the product. Proper handling, use, and disposal. WHMIS training is all about keeping you safe. Under WHMIS guidelines, there are 4 important parts of an effective training program. Employers. Employers must ensure information is provided to all personnel related to using hazardous products safely. They must also ensure their employees, both supervisors and workers, have the knowledge needed to use these products in a safe manner. Supervisors must ensure workers are aware of the hazards of using WHMIS-controlled products and that the workers follow the directions to protect themselves. Supervisors are also responsible to ensure these products are used, stored, and disposed of safely, and that there are emergency response procedures in place should an accident occur. Workers must be trained and understand how to safely use WHMIS products. They must be able to recognize pictograms, read labels and SDSs, and always follow the directions provided to use the product safely. Finally, the suppliers of WHMIS-controlled products must ensure that these products are properly labeled and SDSs are provided. If all parties follow the rules and their own duties and responsibilities, there is no reason for a workplace incident or illness relating to the unsafe use of a hazardous chemical. Groups, classes, and categories of hazardous materials. The Workplace Hazardous Materials Information System uses groups, classes, and categories to help workers understand the hazards of a product and how dangerous the product could be. There are two hazard groups: physical hazards, which are products that can hurt you, and health hazards, which are products that can make you sick. These two groups contain the 32 hazard classes, which are descriptive, meaning they tell you the dangers of the product. In this example, we are using diesel fuel, a liquid that can catch on fire if exposed to heat or flame. Diesel fuel is also a health hazard that is classified as a carcinogen, a product that, if you do not properly protect yourself, can cause cancer or increase the risk of you developing cancer. Hazard categories assign a number to the specific hazard to tell workers how dangerous the product is. Category 1 is the most dangerous, meaning a worker could get very sick or even be killed if they do not protect themselves properly. Category 3 hazards are not nearly as dangerous, but could still cause skin irritation or other reactions. You can find the classes and categories of hazardous products in the workplace by asking your supervisor to provide you with a product safety data sheet. We'll talk more about safety data sheets shortly, but here you can find the hazards of the product you work with and learn how to protect yourself from those hazards. As mentioned, WHMIS assigns all hazardous products into two groups. The physical hazard group, meaning the product has the potential to hurt you, and the health hazard group, meaning the product has the potential to make you sick. These products make up the physical hazard group: flammables,
Oxidizers,
gases under pressure, corrosive products, and explosive products. Note that in Canada, there are other regulations beyond WHMIS that cover the dangers of working with explosives. Explosive products that fall under WHMIS include chemicals that are self-reactive and organic peroxides. Special training and protective mechanisms are required when using these products. No matter the hazard, if you use these products improperly, you risk getting hurt. These products make up the health hazard group: acute toxicity, serious health hazards, and harmful irritants. If you use these products improperly, you're going to get sick. These types of health hazards have a few differences from the others. Biohazardous infectious materials. The first thing you'll notice is this symbol looks different than the others. It features a black round circle rather than the red diamond. This is a symbol that has been used as part of the WHMIS program since it began in 1988. These products consist of infectious materials and toxins that can cause disease. These types of hazardous materials are not recognized by the GHS. It is only in Canada that we consider these products a part of the WHMIS program. Hazardous to the aquatic environment. These products can cause damage to fish, plants, and other species that live in or around water. However, in Canada, this hazard class is considered optional and these products are classified under other regulations. But, just like the other products in the health hazard class, if you use these products improperly and without the proper protective mechanisms in place, you put your personal health and the health of others at risk. We've talked about the two hazard groups. Inside of these two groups, there are 32 hazard classes that you need to be aware of. These hazard classes are descriptive, meaning the class of product tells you the hazardous properties. Additionally, the descriptive hazard classes are assigned a number. The number assigned represents the severity of the hazard. Numbers range from 1 to 3, with 1 representing a high level of danger, down to 3, which would represent a minor hazard level. All of this information will be found on the Product Safety Data Sheet, or SDS. We'll talk more about safety data sheets later. But here is an example of how suppliers of a hazardous chemical communicate the hazard classes and categories to workers that use the product. This product, which is a brake cleaner that we use in many of our maintenance shops, contains 9 different hazard classes. You can also see the hazard categories, mostly 2s and 3s, but there is a level 1 for reproductive toxicity. Obviously, if you use this product, you would want to be sure you are properly protected. Let's learn about WHMIS pictograms, labels, and safety data sheets.
Pictograms. Even if you're just entering the workforce, it's very likely that you've already seen some of the images displayed within pictograms. These images can sometimes be found on household products that you buy often and possibly use on a regular basis. WHMIS pictograms are simple graphic images that vividly highlight the types of hazards present in various hazardous products. The standardized pictograms act as visual, easy-to-understand tools for helping workers immediately identify the types of hazards present in certain products. A quick glance at a pictogram will alert the user of the hazardous products and potential dangers and compel them to take the necessary precautions. Except for the biohazardous infectious materials pictogram, all of the WHMIS pictograms are made of a distinctive red diamond border and have this symbol representing the hazard associated with the product inside the border. Together, the border and the symbol are called a pictogram and are assigned to a specific hazard category or class. Let's review each of the WHMIS pictograms to understand what they mean. Gas cylinder. The gas cylinder pictogram or symbol indicates gases under pressure, including compressed gas, liquefied gas, refrigerated liquefied gas, and dissolved gas. All compressed gases are hazardous because of the high pressures inside the cylinders. Even at relatively low pressure, gas can flow rapidly from an open or leaking cylinder. Flame. The flame pictogram indicates that a product is flammable. Flammable substances can ignite very easily and will burn very vigorously when ignited. You must exercise extreme caution while working with or around flammable materials and keep them away from ignition sources at all times. Flame over circle. Materials displaying the flame over circle pictogram are considered oxidizing substances. While not flammable on their own, products displaying this pictogram or symbol will provide the oxygen necessary to fuel fires. Oxidizing materials are not limited to one state of matter. They can be in the form of liquids, solids, and gases. Corrosion. The corrosion pictogram indicates that the materials can cause corrosive damage to metals as well as skin and eyes. Damage caused by these chemicals is usually permanent. Significant precautions should always be taken to ensure corrosive materials do not come in contact with unprotected parts of your body. Skull and crossbones. The skull and crossbones indicate that a substance is toxic. Toxic substances can harm or kill living organisms if ingested or inhaled. Additionally, these substances can cause problems with the respiratory system, leading to breathing difficulties that can result in death. Exclamation mark. This pictogram lets the user of a product know that the chemical is an irritant. These substances typically cause soreness or redness to the skin and cause it to become irritated. It should be noted that irritant substances do not necessarily have hazards of low severity, as they can cause acute toxicity if inhaled or ingested. Health hazards. Substances displaying the health hazards pictogram can pose several health hazards and have the ability to physically damage or potentially kill an animal or a human. These substances should never be inhaled or ingested under any circumstances. Exploding bomb. The exploding bomb pictogram indicates that the materials are explosive or highly reactive. Quite simply, these products can be self-reactive and can explode if handled improperly. Biohazardous infectious materials. Materials displaying the biohazardous infectious materials symbol are organisms or the toxins they produce that can cause disease in people or animals. This is an original WHMIS 1988 symbol that has not changed with the recent updates to WHMIS. Environmentally damaging. Substances displaying this pictogram can kill or damage living things within an ecosystem or environment.
Pictograms communicate the hazards of a product without using words. Each pictogram is designed to help users identify the hazards that are present. Did you know the hazard before reading it? All three pictograms represent health hazards, with different levels of danger. Skull and crossbones. These products are very dangerous and could kill you or cause very serious health conditions. In most cases, these products would have an immediate effect on you. Health hazards. These products are not necessarily any less severe than acute toxicity hazards, but in many cases, a worker may not feel the effect of these hazards immediately. Exclamation point. These products are generally those that can cause soreness or irritate the skin. They can also appear as airborne irritants, which can affect breathing, your lungs, or other organs. The WHMIS program has 10 pictograms in total. Biohazardous infectious materials is only used in Canada and is unique with its round black border. And the environmental hazards pictogram is optional under the Canadian WHMIS regulations. Let's look back at the SDS for airbrake antifreeze. Here, you can see 4 different pictograms. These pictures tell you the hazards of using the product. WHMIS labels. Hazardous products used in the workplace are required to have labels on them. In most cases, the product will have a supplier label on it. These labels are provided by the company that makes or supplies the product to industry. These labels will have 6 different sections to help workers safely use the product. The name of the product. Pictograms or symbols, which show workers the hazard of the product by using a descriptive picture. Signal words tell you how severe the hazard is, by using either the words danger or warning. The word danger indicates the product presents very serious or high-risk hazards, while the word warning will indicate low to medium-risk hazards to workers. Hazard statements tell the worker the exposure hazards of the product, like what would happen if you spilled the product on your skin. Precautionary statements tell workers how to protect themselves while using the product. They tell you the proper personal protective equipment to use, first aid measures, and other emergency procedures to follow should a worker be exposed to the product and requires special care. At the bottom of the supplier label will be the name, address, and phone number of the supplier, should there be a need to contact for further information about the product. The other type of label is called a workplace label. Unlike supplier labels, workplace labels are only used in specific circumstances. Workplace labels are used when a worker transfers a product from the original container to a second container. Or, a workplace label can be used to replace the container's original supplier label that is either missing or can no longer be seen or is legible. Workplace labels have 3 sections: the name of the product, how to safely use the product, and a reminder that more information can be found by reading the product's safety data sheet. WHMIS labels are there for you to know the hazards and use the product safely. If you have any questions, ask your supervisor for help, but always ensure that all of the hazardous products you use at work are properly labeled. Let's talk a little more about supplier labels and workplace labels. This is an example of what a product label looks like. In this case, the product is called K1. At the top of the label, you will see the product identifier. This is the name of the product. Generally, it will match a brand name. The name on the label will also match the name on the product's safety data sheet. Below the name, you will see the hazard pictograms. The pictograms for product K1 are telling us that this product could make you very sick or cause irritation to your skin, throat, or internal organs if you do not protect yourself effectively. Next are the signal words. There are two signal words that are used: danger or warning. In this case, danger means this product is just that, dangerous if not used properly. Along with the signal words come the hazard statements. Hazard statements tell you the hazards of the product. Here it says fatal if swallowed and causes skin irritation. The hazard statements match what the pictograms told us. Below the hazard statements are precautionary statements. Precautionary statements describe the recommended measures to prevent any adverse effects for exposure to the product. Precautionary statements can include recommendations for personal protective equipment, as well as measures to take in case of emergency. First aid procedures can also be included in the precautionary statements. At the bottom of the label, you will find the supplier identifier. WHMIS requires that the company that made, packaged, sold, or imported the product include this information on the product label so that users of the product can contact them for additional product information. This is also the name of the company to contact for safety data sheets. Lastly, WHMIS requires that supplier labels come in both English and French language. There is another type of label that you may find on WHMIS-controlled products. These are called workplace labels. Workplace labels are different from supplier labels because they only require 3 pieces of information: the name of the product, safe handling precautions or instructions on how to use the product safely, and a referral for workers to check the safety data sheet. This is where users can find more information on how to use the product safely. There are 3 instances where WHMIS workplace labels can be used. First, the original label was damaged, removed, or is no longer legible. Number 2, the product has been transferred from its original container into another container. If this happens, then a workplace label can be applied to the second container. In the third instance, workplace labels can be used if a company manufactures a WHMIS product but only uses it themselves and they do not sell or supply it to other companies. In this case, only a workplace label would be required on the product. There is one other time when workplace labels are used. If a worker transfers a product from the original container to another container and they use all of the product immediately or are the only person to use the product. In those specific cases, the worker only needs to mark the container with the name of the product. Remember though, if you don't use all of the product immediately or the container will be used by others, then you must also add safe handling instructions and a reference to the SDS. WHMIS Safety Data Sheets. The ultimate guide to safely using hazardous materials in the workplace. Another important part of the Workplace Hazardous Materials Information System is safety data sheets, also known as SDSs. SDSs provide much more information than product labels do, and suppliers of hazardous products are required to provide safety data sheets for workers to use when they need to find out more information about the hazards of a product. The safety data sheet will explain how to work safely with the product and what could happen if you don't follow instructions. The safety data sheet will provide you with critical information like symptoms you could experience from being overexposed to the product, first aid measures that can be used to treat overexposure, and what to do in cases of serious emergency. The Workplace Hazardous Materials Information System says that safety data sheets must be provided by the supplier, the employer, and be available for all workers to use. As a worker, it is your responsibility to read product labels and consult safety data sheets in order to protect yourself from these hazardous workplace products. Remember, when using these products, wear the proper personal protective equipment that is recommended in the SDS. Follow SDS instructions on how to properly use, store, and dispose of the product safely, and, most importantly, whenever you aren't sure, read the product's safety data sheet and ask your supervisor for help. We've already talked a lot about safety data sheets, but what exactly do they do? Safety data sheets provide details on the various hazardous materials that we use in the workplace. You may say that pictograms and labels do the same thing. However, a safety data sheet will provide even more information on how to use the product in a proper manner. The safety data sheet provides detailed information of the dangers, hazardous ingredients, first aid measures, and emergency response procedures. They will also have additional information on the safe use, handling, storage, cleanup, and disposal procedures to be followed. Safety data sheets offer so much more information than could ever be printed on a label. And that is why we need to have an SDS available for all of the hazardous products we use. Everything that is known about the hazardous nature of the product is summarized in the product's safety data sheet. And there must be an SDS available for every hazardous product used in the workplace. Safety data sheets have 16 sections that are presented in a set order. Here are the 16 sections of a safety data sheet. Every hazardous product's SDS will have the sections in the same order, meaning that if you need to find out information on the hazardous ingredients, you look in Section 3. If you want to find out how to clean up the product, check Section 6. To find out how to dispose of the product after using it, check out Section 13. Remember earlier in this training presentation when we talked about the SDS for air brake antifreeze? This SDS contains the 16 sections required to help workers learn about the hazards of the product, as well as the instructions they need to be safe from those hazards. So, if you are looking for an SDS for a hazardous product you are using and you don't know where to find it, ask your supervisor. And if you can't find the SDS for the specific product that you are using, once again, ask your supervisor for help. Your supervisor will be able to find any safety data sheet you may need, and they will be happy to provide you with any additional information, training, or protective equipment you will need to keep yourself safe. Let's do a quick review before we write our quiz. WHMIS uses pictograms or pictures as a way to communicate the hazards of the product without using words. WHMIS-controlled products are sold with a supplier label containing all required information. Workplace labels are used when transferring a product between one container and another,
or
when the original label is missing or no longer legible. Safety data sheets have all of the information you need to work safely with a hazardous product in the workplace. And there must be an SDS for every hazardous product used in the workplace. What are some examples of a hazardous product you may use while you work? If you drive a truck or operate heavy equipment, you'll use engine and hydraulic oil, diesel fuel, and gasoline, along with other lubricants and fluids. These are all WHMIS control products. How about if you have a spill and need to use an absorbent to help clean it up? Most absorbents are WHMIS controlled products. Many cleaning products like glass cleaner, degreasers, and disinfectants are also considered WHMIS controlled products. Finally, what about a fire extinguisher? All workplaces have fire extinguishers, and because they are classified as a gas under pressure, that makes them a WHMIS controlled product. It's important to remember, WHMIS controlled products are considered hazardous, meaning they can harm you or make you sick if you use them without taking the proper precautions. There is good news, though. You now know how to recognize the hazards of WHMIS controlled products. You know how to read the product labels and safety data sheets. Follow the instructions on labels and SDSs, and, most importantly, ask for help if you're not sure where to find the information you will need to keep you safe. Time for the quiz. If you haven't done so already, scan the QR code with your phone to begin. When you are finished the quiz, come on back and rejoin the presentation. Thank you for your attention. Now is a great time to take a break. Pause the video, and when you are ready, come on back and hit the play button. We will then continue the training presentation. The next section of our Only the Best training will cover emergency response. We will discuss emergency site plans and site maps. We will explain where you can find a list of emergency contacts. We will teach some specific emergency procedures, including what to do in case of a fire. Procedures to follow if you or a coworker gets hurt or sick while working. What you should do in cases of workplace violence or harassment. Procedures to follow if we have a spill or environmental incident. And we will also cover the information needed to deal with many other emergency situations. At the end of the presentation, there will be a quiz. You can scan the QR code on the screen to access the quiz. Emergency response. What will you do if something goes wrong? Every Miller Waste Systems location has an emergency response plan in place. These plans contain written procedures that can be followed in a variety of possible emergency situations. Because of the type of work we do, we have many procedures in place for any type of emergency our workers may encounter. And every one of our buildings has a safety site plan. These are building and property maps, which will show the location of emergency exits, meeting or muster points, the locations of all fire extinguishers, as well as the location of the first aid station, the site defibrillator, and other important emergency equipment and information. Our emergency plans and procedures say that all of our employees, no matter what their job is, must be trained and understand what they need to do in case of emergency. Emergency contacts. No matter the emergency, your first and main contact will always be your supervisor. If something goes wrong, provide them with as much detail as possible so they can properly respond to the situation. While your supervisor will always be your main contact, there will also be a list of emergency contact numbers on the site safety board. This list will include the address and phone number of the building you are calling from. This is in case the 911 operator or emergency responders ask for your location. In addition, the address and phone number of the closest hospital will be posted, along with contact numbers for the Provincial Ministry of Labor, the Ministry of Transportation, the Ministry of Environment, Poison Control, and, if needed, a contact for spill cleanup service. In cases of a fire, a worker is injured, a serious motor vehicle collision, or if a crime is being committed, workers can always call 911 to report. If we need emergency services, let's get them there as soon as possible. Let's train you on some specific emergency procedures you need to know. Fire, fire, fire. What do I do? Remain calm. You may be required to exit the building if a fire alarm goes off. We have site maps for all locations that show the evacuation route. These maps also show the location of all emergency exits, the location of fire extinguishers, and the location of our muster or meeting point. This is a safe area outside of the building. Once at the meeting area, stay there until your supervisor, manager, or EMS personnel tells you what to do next. Where would you go in case of a building evacuation? To the emergency meeting area. You'll find the location on every fire safety plan. If there is an emergency, exit through the closest door and wait at the meeting area. You may be wondering, why are we talking so much about fires? Unfortunately, many people throw out items that can easily catch on fire. This means that sometimes we will have fires that start inside of our collection vehicles. Or, the flammable items can catch fire in our facilities after they have been unloaded. Why do you think there are so many fires in the waste we collect? In most cases, lithium-ion batteries are the main cause of fires we are dealing with. Lithium-ion batteries are rechargeable batteries that are found in smartphones, laptops, toys, and cordless tools. The same type of battery is also found in e-bikes and electric cars. Lithium-ion batteries have different plates of material within them, very thin pieces of metal that are stacked on top of each other. The plates are charged, and this is what powers our devices. Properly operating batteries have a space between these metal plates. However, if the battery gets damaged or broken, then these charged plates could come into contact with each other. If this happens, a chemical reaction occurs, which causes the plates to instantly overheat. The heat caused by this chemical reaction is hot enough to start anything in the vicinity on fire. So, what do we do when this happens? How do we prevent the fires from getting out of control? If it's safe to do so, dump the truck. Look for an area that is far away from buildings and people, preferably on pavement or concrete. If possible, it's a good idea to wait until fire services are there. They can help to extinguish the fire once the burning material is unloaded from the truck. If the fire starts inside our building, we will attempt to bring the burning material outside. With the material outside of the building, we are then able to spread it out on the ground. This makes it easier for the fire to be extinguished by either pouring water on the burning material or by using a fire extinguisher. Have you ever used a fire extinguisher? Would you be able to use one if you had to?
Fires kill more than 3,000 people in the United States each year. And if we're going to have to deal with these fires at home, in the office, in the shop, wherever, we have to know how to use a fire extinguisher. When you encounter a fire, you have to make a conscious decision. Is it worth me trying to put it out with a fire extinguisher? Should I just back out of there and call 911 and let the professionals take care of it? Every company is going to have someone in charge of checking these visually on a monthly basis. Every year you'll have them sent away to be checked by the professionals, but the monthly checks are pretty simple. Let's make sure that they're charged. Let's make sure all the parts are in place, that the hose is in good condition, that they're mounted in the right place. It's easy to lose track of one of these things if they get used. Make sure it gets put back, it gets recharged, because you never know when you're going to need to use one. If you happen upon a fire that is small enough for you to actually fight with one of these smaller fire extinguishers, all you have to remember is the acronym PASS. PASS helps us learn how to use this thing safely and not forget it when our mind is being preoccupied by the blaze. P is for pull, and we're going to pull the pin. The pin is here to make sure that this thing doesn't accidentally get discharged. It's really the only thing that's stopping these two levers from coming together and discharging the unit. When we pull the pin, make sure we're not squeezing together. We're just holding on the underside. It should be pretty easy to pull. It should have some sort of a tether on it or maybe a plastic band. Discard both of those things, and that's when we're going to go ahead and grab this nozzle and move on to our next letter. Grab this nozzle, and we're going to aim at the base of the fire, stay a nice safe distance away. And S is for squeeze. When we squeeze this handle, we'll discharge the unit. And the last thing we're going to do is sweep. We're going to sweep at the base of the fire and try to put out the flames from the bottom up.
Let's review. If you can remember the word pass, then you will be able to use a fire extinguisher. Step 1 is P. P stands for pulling the pin. Pulling the pin will allow you to squeeze the two handles of the fire extinguisher together. Letter A is step number 2, which stands for aim the nozzle. Position yourself approximately 2 to 3 meters away and aim the nozzle at the base of the fire. Next is S. When you are ready, squeeze the two handles together. This will expel the fire extinguishing material that is inside the canister. The last S stands for sweep. Continue aiming at the base of the fire and sweep the nozzle from side to side. Keep squeezing the handles together until the fire extinguisher is empty and the fire is out. The fire extinguishers we have in our workplace will last anywhere from 20 to 45 seconds when you squeeze the handles. What will you do if you feel the fire is too big for you to fight safely? If you don't think the fire extinguisher you have is capable of putting out the fire, then you need to evacuate the area and notify your supervisor and all other affected people. If you are inside one of our buildings, follow the emergency evacuation plan. Leave the building through the closest exit and go to the meeting point. Wait with your coworkers at the meeting area for further instructions. Procedures for a medical emergency. Oh no, I think I'm hurt. What should I do? Try to remain calm. If you or someone you are working with gets injured or becomes sick while they are working, report it to your supervisor right away. We have many trained first aiders that can provide proper treatment and care. If you want to know who in your workplace is trained in first aid, you can find a list of names on the safety board. You can also find the procedures to be followed to report and respond to workplace injury or illness. If an injury requires first aid, make sure you document whatever supplies were used from the first aid station. Or you can complete an incident report form. Your supervisor, a manager, a trained first aider, or a member of the safety department can help you with these forms. All you need to do is ask for help. If you end up needing to see a doctor or other medical professional as the result of a work-related injury or illness, you must inform your supervisor. There are forms that you will need to provide to the doctor for these types of injuries and illness. This is because in all Canadian provinces, you have insurance to assist you if you miss any time from work due to being hurt or sick. These insurance providers need to have specific documentation provided in order to manage a claim on your behalf. The Provincial Compensation Board will work with you and the company to ensure an early and safe return to work. Your supervisor can help you with all of that. Just ensure you let them know what happened. Very serious injuries, also known as critical injuries, serious incidents, and catastrophic events, must be reported to the Provincial Labour Ministry as soon as possible. According to Regulation 834 of the Ontario Occupational Health and Safety Act, a critical injury is defined as a serious event that places life in jeopardy, produces unconsciousness, results in a substantial loss of blood, involves the fracture or the amputation of an arm or leg, results in burns to a major portion of the body, or causes the loss of sight in an eye. Other provinces have similar definitions, and there are also reporting requirements for other serious events, such as workplace fatalities, explosions, poisonings, catastrophic events like the collapse of a building or a major fire event, as well as falls from height and the failure of an oxygen-supplied respirator. In all cases like these, we must do everything reasonable to preserve evidence related to the incident and not disturb the scene until permission is granted by a provincial ministry inspector. Workplace violence and harassment. What procedures should you follow in cases of workplace violence or harassment? Remain calm and prioritize your own personal safety. MWSI Systems has a zero-tolerance policy regarding violence and harassment in the workplace. If you are being threatened in any way while you are working, stop whatever you are doing, move to a safe area, and request help. You have many options if you require help. Your main contact and first call should always be to your supervisor. However, if your supervisor is not available, you can reach out to another manager, a people and culture business partner, or a member of the safety department. MWSI Systems has a comprehensive policy and procedures regarding what to do in cases of workplace violence and harassment. The policy is posted on our safety board. It provides our employees with detailed information and procedures on how to handle persons who may be violent or exhibit harassing behaviors. We also have a job hazard analysis form that all workers shall review. The JHA will train workers on the steps to take during specific times in which they may encounter a violent person. Situations such as dealing with an angry resident, customer, or other third party. Incidents of road rage. Other incidents of violence and harassment including racial or ethnic harassment, sexual harassment, physical or verbal abuse, workplace gossip, bullying, and how to deal with domestic violence. The JHA also provides information relating to the reporting of workplace violence and harassment and the consequences should a person commit or try to hide or cover up evidence relating to an incident in the workplace. Spill procedures. Unfortunately, in our industry, we have to deal with a lot of spills. What should you do? Just like all other emergency situations, remain calm, because we've got this topic covered too. Environmental spills can happen very quickly, and being prepared is key. Provincial regulations require that we clean up any type of spill that may occur while we are performing our work. The spill could be from a leaking hydraulic line, fuel from a leaking or overfilled tank, or even a leak caused by the material we are collecting in our trucks. No matter what the source of the leak is or the circumstances that caused the leak, we must clean up all spills thoroughly so they do not pose a hazard to other people or have a negative environmental impact. We have detailed practices and procedures on how to deal with many different types of spills. You can find these instructions posted on our safety boards. Let's go over some other emergency situations. We have written procedures for what to do in case you are involved in a motor vehicle collision, or if you were to come into contact with overhead high-voltage power lines. How about if the equipment you are operating has a sudden hydraulic line failure? Or what you need to do if your truck ever breaks down on the side of the road. Remain calm and don't worry. We have a procedure for that. Time for the emergency response quiz. If you haven't done so already, scan the QR code on the screen to open the quiz. Once you have completed the quiz, come on back to begin the next section of our training program. Thank you for your attention. Now is a great time to take a break. Pause the video and when you are ready, come on back and hit the play button. We will then continue the training presentation. Our next training module discusses AODA. We are going to discuss and define AODA and explain its importance. We will describe to you our AODA company policy and program. We will explain how following our AODA program will allow us to provide excellent customer service to all persons. And like all training, we will finish off by celebrating everything we have learned about AODA. At the end of the presentation, there will be a quiz. You can scan the QR code on the screen to access the quiz. Let's begin by explaining what is AODA. AODA stands for the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act. In Ontario, all organizations, businesses, and public spaces are required under the law to provide accessible goods and services to persons with disabilities. While other provinces in Canada may not have similar regulations relating to this, Miller Waste Systems believes that it is best practice to implement these requirements across all business operations. Part of the regulations is to ensure that all workers are trained so that they understand the law, as well as the company's policy and program. In truth, it's not that difficult. When we are providing a service, all persons deserve respect and understanding.
Good morning, Bob.
Morning there, big man. Morning, Alice!
There's no need to be awkward. Poor Bob. Like so many of us, he just doesn't know how to interact with people with disabilities.
It's pretty easy, really. People with disabilities are people first.
We need the same things that every person needs, like respect.
Good morning, everyone.
Attention! Okay. Maybe we need to be more specific.
The easiest way to show respect is to focus on the person, not the disability. It's okay. You'll get the hang of it.
One easy way to focus on the person is to watch the person signing and not their interpreter.
Or their companion.
It's really cool that you'd like to help, but do us both a favor and please ask me first. What you think might be helping?
I got you.
Wait, ah! Oh no, might actually not.
If you'd like to offer me help, let me hold on to your elbow. Don't take mine.
Hey, would you like to take my arm?
Sure.
Assistive devices help us to live our lives. They're really important and really personal.
Grabbing them only makes it weird for everyone.
What?
Please only touch our devices and service animals if we've given you permission. And don't take it personally if I ask you not to. Remember that my service animal helps me all the time. Neither of us would like it if we were separated.
Remember, we make our own decisions. We sign documents, vote, volunteer, work, and pay taxes.
We get married.
So don't address me just because I have a great smile.
Just because I'm blind.
May I help you?
Does not mean I'm deaf.
Just because I'm deaf doesn't mean I'm blind.
And just because I use a wheelchair doesn't mean that I can't sweep you off your feet.
So take a deep breath, relax. We don't bite.
Unless we're really hungry.
Hello there, ladies. How are you?
Hello. And if you're not sure what to do, just ask.
Hi, would you still like to see a menu?
No thanks, but can you please read it to me?
Sure, definitely.
Just treat us the way you would want to be treated, and we'll all be okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Alice.
Morning.
Awkward no more. Nice job, Bob. Go forth and be human.
Let's discuss Miller Waste's AODA policy and program. Miller Waste Systems is committed to providing accessible customer service to all persons that may use assistive devices, service animals, or personal support persons to help them accomplish day-to-day tasks. All Miller personnel must ensure our customers with disabilities receive the same level of customer service as any other able-bodied person. Employees of Miller Waste Systems are welcome to receiving feedback from our customers with disabilities or any other person requiring an accommodation. And we will always strive to provide effective communication to our customers with disabilities. Here is a copy of our company policy that can also be found in your Employee Orientation Handbook. Our policy covers the requirements of the Ontario Act. The policy includes the procedures to be followed, communication methods, and how to recognize and interact with a person using assistive devices, service animals, and personal support persons. The policy also covers the training that is required for all personnel, including visitors to our sites. Finally, our policy includes procedures for providing feedback to the organization relating to our service. Providing excellent customer service and communication. There are many ways to communicate with a person who may not be able to speak or who speaks differently than you. Some options are using a pen and paper to write down what each person is trying to say, adjusting your speaking style to a slower pace and clearer pronunciation. There are also many different ways to communicate nonverbally. And don't forget about your phone. It may be able to translate for you what a person speaking another language is trying to say. There are even applications that can help you communicate using American Sign Language. Assistive devices. An assistive device is any piece of equipment a person with a disability may use to help them with daily living. Examples of assistive devices may include wheelchairs, canes, or other mobility devices, screen readers, and electronic communication devices, listening aids and devices, even portable oxygen tanks or other portable breathing devices. If you are dealing with a person that uses an assistive device, you may offer to help the person. However, please ensure you ask for and receive permission. The person may not need the help. Service animals. The most common type of service animal is a guide dog. However, other animals can be trained to help people with many different disabilities. Service animals can be trained to assist people with mobility issues, persons with hearing loss, and persons who have seizures. In most cases, the service animal will be wearing a collar or a harness indicating that it is on the job. Do not attempt to pet, play, or interact with the service animal as it is performing important duties for its owner. The service animal will probably ignore you anyway. If you are uncomfortable around animals, have allergies, or you have a fear, please inform your supervisor so we can make accommodations for you. Remember, it is against the law to refuse service to a person that is using a service animal. Personal support persons. A personal support person is someone that helps a person with a disability with a variety of things. Support persons could be a friend, family member, or a paid attendant. If you are dealing with someone who has a support person to assist them, then we will provide our services to both parties. If the support person is assisting with communication, remember to communicate directly with the person with the disability, even if the support person is the one who is speaking. Remember to look at and speak to the person that requires the service. For example, a support person may help by interpreting sign language for a customer with a hearing disability. If this is the case, remember to communicate directly with the customer, even though the support person will be speaking on their behalf. Time for a quick review of what we've learned. Let's celebrate. If you haven't already done so, scan the QR code on the screen to open the quiz. When you are ready, come on back and resume the presentation. Question 1. The vision behind the AODA is to achieve accessibility for Ontarians with disabilities. This is true. The Act is designed to provide business with the guidance needed to meet the needs of persons with disabilities. Keep in mind, even though the AODA is Ontario law, Miller Waste Systems has implemented the same requirements across all business operations in all provinces as a best practice. Question 2. When you are dealing with a customer with a disability and are unsure if they require help, what should you do? Ask the person, "May I help you?" Don't assume the person with a disability needs assistance, but also, don't be afraid to offer your help. Just ask the question, They can let you know what to do. Next question. Devices such as a keyboard, pen and paper, ramps, and automatic door openers are designed to help people with disabilities. This is true. While these are devices we all use in our everyday lives, they are also great tools that can help persons with disabilities to communicate and maneuver like all others. The best way to communicate with someone with an intellectual or a developmental disability is to just use plain language. In most cases, people with this type of disability have no problem communicating with others. Which of the following statements about people living with disabilities is true? A person's disability may affect how they interact with you, or it may not. You should never make the assumption that a person with a disability will not be able to interact with or be able to do the things that any other able-bodied person can do. People living with disabilities have a lot more experience in dealing with people like you, rather than your own personal experiences. They are the expert, and that's why it's okay to let them show you the way. You can be the one that asks them for help. The Miller Waste Systems AODA policy and program is an integral part of how the company is able to provide all people with an only the best customer service experience. Thank you for your attention. Now is a great time to take a break. Pause the video, and when you are ready, come on back and hit the play button. We will then continue the training presentation. We're ready to start the last section of our orientation training. Customer service expectations and being only the best. While we are best described as a multidisciplined waste management organization, at the core, we pride ourselves as being service providers to hundreds of thousands of municipal residents and commercial customers. Providing a top-notch customer service experience is what sets us apart from other waste companies. It's one of the things we are best known for in the industry. You've heard it multiple times throughout this training presentation. When you work at Miller Waste Systems, you are part of a team that is only the best at what we do. Our team of dedicated employees strive to provide the best possible workplace experience. Working at Miller Waste is more than just a job. It's a career where opportunities to succeed are endless. It all starts with the company's core values. We consider this to be the Miller difference. Our first and most important core value is the health, well-being, and safety of our employees. When you are working, the most important part of your job is always ensuring that you, your coworkers, and the public we serve are safe. Our second core value is our commitment to our customers, to the environment, and our commitment to each other. This means that the organization will provide reliable, trustworthy, and environmentally responsible waste management solutions to our customers and the municipalities we serve. It means our organization accepts personal accountability for our actions and behaviors. We are committed to maintaining a diverse, inclusive, collaborative, and respectful work environment. And finally, we are committed to providing meaningful opportunities to our people. Our third core value speaks to community. We are invested in the communities in which we live and work. In many cases, our employees' homes are in the municipalities that they service. We take pride in the role we play in our communities, both as a corporation and as individuals. These three core values are the key to being only the best, and you can see these values translate into the work that we do. Watch our worker help out a resident that falls on their driveway. The resident was running because she was afraid of missing her collection, and as a result, tripped, fell, and suffered a fractured arm and cut to her face. Our employee called 911 for her and waited until emergency services arrived. This next video shows our worker helping a group of bicyclists that fall and injure themselves. These are just two examples of Miller Waste employees going above and beyond. Congratulations to both of them for being such great ambassadors for the organization. Miller Waste Systems is also proud to be recognized as one of Canada's best managed companies, which honors excellence among the country's privately owned businesses. We are a platinum member, meaning that we have received this award for more than 7 years in a row. In fact, Miller has been recognized as a best managed company since 2010. Miller Waste Systems is proud to honor its long-serving employees with a membership in the prestigious 25-year club. Our 25-year club has more than 150 members. That's more than 150 people that have dedicated their professional lives to being only the best at their job. There are not a lot of companies that can boast about that level of dedication and commitment amongst its workforce. Each and every year, we add new members to this club, and we welcome the opportunity for you to join as well. It's not only our long-serving employees that get recognized for their hard work and dedication. Miller Waste Systems also uses an application called AWARDCO, which allows all personnel to recognize and give shout-outs to their coworkers in real time. It's like we have our own little social media site designed to motivate and encourage teamwork amongst all of our staff. We also use AWARDCO to annually recognize our safest workers through our SHARE program. Workers that qualify for our SHARE program receive points, which can be redeemed for gift cards. The SHARE program is just another way we thank our workforce for promoting a safety-first attitude. What sets us apart from other organizations? Is it our workers going above and beyond? Or honoring our long-term, our safest and most valued employees? How about being recognized year over year as a well-managed and caring organization? These are just a few of the things that makes Miller Waste Systems only the best place to work. We all welcome you and wish you nothing but success as you begin your exciting new career. Thank you for your attention, and welcome to Miller Waste Systems.